Securities offered through TJ Stearns, a registered representative of Crown Capital Securities LP, member FINRA SIPC. Content is intended to provide accurate information, however, is not intended as financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult a financial, legal, or tax professional for specific information regarding your individual situation. Opinions expressed and provided are for general informational purposes only and should not be considered a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security.
Welcome to Protect and Grow with ChicagoLand Certified Financial Planner Tim Stearns of TJ Stearns Incorporated. Trust, respect, and results. TJ Stearns Incorporated focuses on comprehensive financial planning and benefits.
And welcome into the program. This is Protect and Grow ChicagoLand Retirement with ChicagoLand's resource for and source for information on planning for your financial future. Certified Financial Planner Tim Stearns, President and Founder of TJ Stearns Inc. Tim, welcome back into the program.
Peter, thanks again for having me.
Thank you for being here and for being that constant resource for Chicagoland area savers and investors who are taking their planning and their financial futures seriously. Now, Tim, as we talk often on this program, planning is the long game. It is proactive. It looks ahead out into the future. But of those that are planning, I think there is a subset that plans for the distant future, for retirement. And then there is a subset of that group that plans for financial matters and affairs even after their own lifetime, for legacy. But what we all probably need to realize is that we are all going to leave some kind of legacy behind.
Right. Whether it's good or bad, right?
Right.
But the way I look at it is that income allocation, the planning software that we have, that goes into it. We want to make sure that the couple that is retiring is going to be okay. But then we also, a lot of them want to leave, something as a legacy. So we show them how to do that using different products that, it doesn't affect their retirement per se. And it makes it so that they have a legacy.
Well, I want to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, listening to the program today or viewing it on the podcast, that Tim Stearns is your resource. If you've got questions, if you've got concerns about your short-term financial goals, your long-range financial goals, or even financial and legacy and estate goals beyond your own lifetime, he is a resource that can help and assist. He is a certified financial planner. He does make his time available to you. All you need to do to get your questions answered is pick up the phone and give a call. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. He did mention that proprietary software and planning strategy of income allocation. Along with that software and the structure for planning that income allocation is, there is a book that describes that. Tim Stearns also offers that to Chicagoland area savers and investors. If you're taking your planning, your financial future seriously enough to have saved at least $500,000, the book, the strategies described in it are appropriate for you. For the first 10 callers, he makes that available for a physical copy or a digital version. Get that in your hands. Learn more about the structures that you can implement to have a more stable and secure financial and retirement future. Give a call now, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. And you're right, Tim, whether it's positive or negative, it can be one of each. For many people, they're worried about money every day. Maybe actually too many don't worry enough when they should. But for those who worry, the concerns come from oftentimes present or near future concerns. And we've got to think about that long-term goal. And in order to have long-term goals, we have to have a short-term plan. In order to make generational planning goals, we have to have a lifetime plan to support ourselves. That's first and foremost a requirement of creating that generational good impact and legacy.
Right. And I think that, everything that we do is intertwined. I just had to help a client in the past week with Social Security, and he wasn't sure whether to go early, late. Does he go at 62? Does he wait till full retirement age? In this case, it was 66 for him. Does he wait till age 70? Because he worked a lot more than his wife did. And just this example. But we have software there, again, that optimizes Social Security so we can see kind of what you're leaving on the table, if that's a thing that a lot of people worry about. When is my crossover? When am I pulling out more than I put in? So with an income allocation plan, that too has the income allocation also uses Social Security software, and a lot of people have not used that ever, and they're just going to wing it in retirement. And I just don't understand that.
Well, Tim, you've talked about the fact that the folks down at the Social Security Administration office, as you are claiming and filing, it is not their job to provide guidance. They don't know your situation, and therefore they cannot. It would be a liability that they are not willing to take on to give you advice. Their job is to file the paperwork on the day that you show up, not tell you if it's the best day to show up, but the difference between the best day to show up and not the best day to show up could be a swing of several hundreds of thousands of dollars. Tim, you've shown cases before on the program where it was $1 million plus differential. That break-even point, it's important to know where that is, but for every day that you live past that, the difference is growing and compounding and can be a huge number by the end of your retirement that either you get from Social Security or you have to generate from your personal assets.
Right. Especially, we always talk to people in our retirement classes, which again, Peter, I think I told you that we're offering to do those via Zoom like you and I are right now. We'll do the classes one-on-one with people. But one of the things we talk about in class is that, you don't get to unwind it. Once you've done it, after 1 year, you're stuck with whatever method you chose.
Right.
So, I know if you're getting money when you're 62 and when you're 70, the cost of living adjustments that Social Security gives, it's not going to keep you up with inflation. That's just a fact. So one other thing I tell people is go out to ssa.gov and go on the website. And what's scary about that website, Peter, is it literally says, you too can try on your Social Security in 15 minutes or less. So let me get this straight. I've worked 35 plus years and I'm just going to I'm only going to take 15 minutes of my retirement time to get it right.
Right.
That's crazy. And I think you always need another set of eyes, because to your point, if you could go into an office, they will not help you. And they don't tell you what you should or shouldn't do or anything like that. I know that a lot of times the wait is uncanny. So nowadays they're doing some stuff online with people. But again, I would have a certified financial planner or someone who's like that help me to do that. Whether, I go early based on my career being maybe better than my spouse or not, that's all things that we look at.
Yeah. Well, Tim, I don't know if you or the viewers or listeners can tell, but I'm several years away from making that decision myself about when to claim and collect Social Security. I still go online every year and check just to make sure that they are recording my earnings correctly.
Right.
And one thing I've noticed when I download that statement is right there on the front cover, it says that, and this has changed, in the year 2035, that they are expecting problems and only able to pay about 78 cents on the dollar of promised benefits. And then it was 2034 and 77 cents. And then it was 2033 and 75 cents. So it keeps seeming to come down and it keeps seeming to move closer, not only because we are living every day and getting closer to it, but that date seems to be coming closer and closer as well. The point being is that with less ability to rely on Social Security to be stable and secure, that's even more emphasis on our own personal assets and even more reason to make well thought through and informed decisions on what to do with Social Security and what to do with the rest of my personal assets and every individual savers and investors' personal assets in order to make those dollars as efficient as possible in providing for my retirement needs.
Right. And back to what you said earlier, going on there, you should go on there and look to make sure that they have your 35 highest earning years, because they fall off. But I will say this, if you're missing a year, the onus is on us as Americans to fix that. No one's going to help you. And nowadays with companies going out of business left and right, mergers, acquisitions, where do you start to get your HR department that you used to have? Or you could have a mom and pop situation where the person retired and sold out and, maybe is retired and living in another country. How are you going to get your records? So these are things that I tell people, be proactive. I mean, or they'll go, oh, it's Social Security, it's just going to be a drop in the bucket. If you look at the real numbers, it's substantial amount of money. But back to what you're saying also is that we're looking at is that if there is problems there, it's going to be up to us. And you couple with the fact that most people, baby boomer age, don't have pensions, you have issues. So you need to figure out an income allocation plan. Again, get a blueprint,
Yes. And Social Security is part of that blueprint, but only
Absolutely.
part of that blueprint.
Totally.
And there are steps in the financial progress and progression. And Tim, I think you would encourage anybody with the first dollar that they earn to start thinking about that retirement income plan. Probably not many people start that early, but I think that you have stated many times your opinion that far too many people wait far too long to have the conversation and start planning with what they are building and accumulating for how to formulate that retirement income plan. And Social Security plan is part of it because Social Security has legacy implications as well. Yes, what we have contributed does not pass on in a lump sum, but there are impacts and implications from Social Security. When we pass away, our spouse is going to be affected, and the decision is going to affect how much money that we do have left over that's discretionary or potentially to be left behind as a legacy.
100%. And that's another reason that I'm telling people, make sure you're doing planning. I don't understand winging it. We have a new client who attended my retirement class, and he keeps preaching that to his coworkers. You're just going to wing retirement. Are you serious? What if you figure out at the age of 80 you don't have enough money?
Yeah.
You're going to go live with your kids. No one wants that any which way.
Not the kids.
No, my mom always says that. I wouldn't do that to you, and you shouldn't do it to me. So, and I agree 100%. So,
well, ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions, concerns, if you want a Social Security report and analysis so you can understand timing and strategies and optimal decisions on that and what it means, pick up the phone, give a call. That's part of the process that goes along with coordinated and is cohesive with the comprehensive planning that Tim Stearns does for income allocation for a retirement income plan. And if you'd like to see how those complement each other, pick up the phone, give a call, 800-640-2256 for that book, Income Allocation, digital or physical copy. Give a call to that number, 800-640-2256. If you'd like to see a short explainer video on what income allocation is and the risks that it helps you address, go to tjstearns.com, and there's a video right on the homepage of the website. It says get free book, but it explains the concepts of income allocation and the risks that it helps you address to understand why you would want this free book and this resource. It's valuable. It's being used by advisors across the country to help savers and investors understand how we must change our paradigm, change our way of thinking, and change the structure of how we are invested to better meet and address retirement risks and concerns. And again, to get started, 800-640-2256, the number to call, 800-640-2256. Tim, my dad and I had a conversation several years back. He made it abundantly clear it wasn't a goal of his to leave a great legacy behind. He said he planned to bounce his last check. I said, absolutely fine, Dad. Not a problem. Just make sure it's the last check that you need to write because
Right.
I don't want him bouncing his last one and then having 5 to 10 more years worth of expenses that he needs to cover. I don't think that was a selfish notion for anyone who wants to spend their money, enjoy their lifetime. I don't think that's selfish. But we also, if that is our goal, need to be selfless in making sure that we have formulated a plan to be self-sufficient and never become dependent, as you alluded to, Tim.
Right. And one of the things we always talk about, Peter, you and I, is what if you do live another day after you bounced your last check?
Right.
So, the karma there is not good. So, that's why we make sure that people have an income plan 30 plus years, that if God forbid something happens to one of the spouses, we still have it covered. Because no one, how many times have you had to see the widow or widower having to sell their house because they ran out of money and their spouse died? So, a lot of people are relying on just Social Security nowadays for retirement. And, that's a tough way to go about it.
Yeah. Well, Tim, how much of a balancing act is that? How much angst and anxiety does that create, trying to figure out where is the proper balance between living a fulfilled, enjoyable retirement and potentially the goal of leaving a legacy behind. It seems like that is a balancing act, spending too much versus living a fulfilled life or
Sure.
living too long.
Right.
But income allocation, again, helps address those concerns.
Absolutely. We get a budget. We look at all their bills. A lot of people say, well, we're living on $100,000 a year. I'll make up a number right now. And, when I retire, it won't be as much. And then we start looking at their bills, and they've gotten pretty much used to that car payment.
Yeah.
Maybe they have a mortgage still, et cetera. The bills are going to be about $100,000. Maybe
right. What's going away? Nothing.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Or they might be traveling more, and that's going to take up maybe the clothing that they were buying for work. I don't know. But at the end of the day, the bills look about the same. So we do that. And then we also want to make sure that they also have inflation taken care of, because inflation, we call it the silent killer. A dollar is not going to be worth the same 10 years from now, especially with all the money that we just put out on the streets in the United States.
Yeah. Well, Tim, when we are thinking about legacy and leaving money behind, we need to take time to prepare the money for the people for who we intend that to pass to. But maybe a more difficult part of this process, because I know a lot of people are very close to the vest with their assets and their
Sure.
worth, is preparing the people for the money, having that conversation with your beneficiaries about what's being left behind, and maybe not exact dollar amounts, but there will be something, and be prepared, and how we expect to have this handled. There's an old saying, and it's a proverb that I think went something like, there's not but 3 generations between clogs and clogs, or the American version is shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3 generations, meaning that if we have been
Right.
successful enough to build up wealth and then leave it behind, it's probably gone and depleted, and our family's back to working class within 2 to 3 generations.
Right. And that's obviously something people want to avoid, especially if you've worked your life away to leave somewhat of a legacy that the kids understand the value of a dollar. One of the things that we do, especially with older couples, is when they come in, we try to have maybe one of the kids there that's helping them with the transition to, maybe they're not going to be able to make some decisions. Maybe someone has passed away, what have you. We make sure that we have another set of ears and eyes there, because that way they know kind of where everything is and kind of how we're doing things. And it just helps a relationship if, God forbid, something happens to that client for us.
Sure. And ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to have somebody as that trusted resource, a third party, begin that conversation by giving certified financial planner Tim Stearns a call. He does make his time available for that complimentary review, that retirement planning strategy session. Everything that we've talked about on today's program thus far is part of that conversation, can be included and incorporated, and no cost to you. The time, the guidance, the perspective of a certified financial planner that Tim is willing to donate to you could easily go upwards of $1,000 to several thousands of dollars. If you are willing to invest your time, he is willing to donate his, as well as that resource and the book of income allocation, the knowledge of the risks that you will be facing into and through retirement, and the structure of the plan and the tools available to help you address them. Pick up the phone and give a call if you would like to get that started or get that book in your hands. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. And Tim, there at TJ Stearns Inc., it's not just you as a certified financial planner. It is a team approach. And another part of important, cannot be overlooked, part of legacy planning is that there are tax implications and there are legal implications to all of this.
Right. And thankfully we have an estate attorney here, and we also have a CPA, and then we all work together in concert to make sure that we're all on the same page. And, I always tell even my children this: get ahead of it. Make sure that you have it planned out. A lot of times we'll do a beneficiary review, and you figure out that maybe someone's been divorced in the family and they're still leaving money to that person, and they don't want to do that. Or there's been a remarriage that they want to update. Every 5 years at least, you should be looking at your will, trust, et cetera, and making sure that it's up to date. And most people don't do that. They kind of put their head in the sand, just like avoiding planning for retirement. They go, I didn't think I had enough, so I just didn't want to meet with you.
Yeah.
Well, let's figure it out, because here at TJ Stearns, we can do more with less. And we have. And that's what makes it a difference.
Well, successful people use every opportunity available to leverage their money. And whether it's a huge amount or not a huge amount, we still want to leverage and take advantage of every opportunity that we can. Be efficient with those dollars. And again, Tim Stearns, as a certified financial planner, as a CFP, has that fiduciary responsibility to help you find those opportunities and to put your best interest as the top priority when making recommendations. Pick up the phone and give a call, 800-640-2256. Back to those taxes though, Tim, probably one of our largest known expenses in retirement. And yes, there is a certain threshold which essentially very wealthy people exceed in realizing the estate tax limits. I think it's in excess of $11 million before estate taxes for a married couple come into play. But the reality of it is, Tim, that the majority of American workers, savers, and investors have saved and invested the majority of their dollars in tax-deferred accounts. So taxes is still going to be an issue as we create retirement income and as we leave assets behind.
Exactly. Their number one asset besides their house is always going to be a 401k. They're in profit sharing the last 30 years of their life because ERISA came around in 1974. So you have this huge asset. And in our class, we literally show a dynamite sticks with a clock on it. Do you have a ticking time bomb? And the answer is 99% of them do.
Most
they
of
don't
us
realize
do.
it.
Yeah.
Right. And then here's the other thing that's come out in the last couple of years is that when they start taking out Medicare at the age of 65, then you get taxed on that, or they do means testing on the Medicare price.
And Social Security.
Absolutely. So there's things that need to go into play here. And, that's something we talk about with everybody. I mean, you have to.
And let me differentiate there that Social Security can be potentially taxable. The Medicare is means tested. But either way, if you have not planned appropriately, this is more emphasis, more stress and strain and reliance on your personal assets that with proper planning might be mitigated, might be reduced, might be avoided. And Tim, another law change was enacted January 1st of 2020, the Secure Act. There was a goal for many savers and investors that understood they had done an ample job of saving and accumulating and built up a large tax-deferred IRA account balance to stretch that out over generations. In my family, it's not me that my mom worries about. It is my son. It is the grandkids. And a lot of people, I think I have heard, feel the same. They want to pass assets along to the grandchildren. The stretch IRA allowed for children and grandchildren to stretch that out over multiple generations, but now that is dead. That is gone. The Secure Act killed that.
Absolutely.
If anybody had that in their plans, they have to revisit that now.
Right. And that's why we're seeing a lot of people wanting to do Roth conversions, because that's kind of a loophole you can get around. If they have some assets, the rule of thumb though is that you're going to want to have to pay the cash out of a banking account or something like that, not from the IRA. But that way you could do a legacy play and leave it to to people. I mean, can you imagine the generations that could go on, if you did it correctly?
And another tool, Tim, that I know is efficient for transferring assets, although we like to not think that it'll ever be needed or apply to us, but life insurance is a very effective tool to leverage dollars, turn dimes to dollars, and to escape some amount of tax implications because the benefit passes tax-free.
Right. And that's obviously something that we talk to people about. It's not only that, but a lot of them now, the life insurance has components to it that have long-term care benefits. So if you can't do two of your activities of daily living, you can actually get a life insurance policy that you can borrow against the death benefit to pay for that. And then if you don't use it, to your point, then you can actually leave money tax-free to your estate, which then goes to your kids, or I guess in your case, to your son.
Yeah, exactly. Tim, it strikes me whenever I have this conversation and within the context of what we've been talking about on today's program, I think that this is appropriate, that for those who would think about a goal of leaving a legacy as a primary goal, oftentimes they have done well for themselves. They may also be the individuals who would say, I don't need long-term care insurance. I have the assets to be self-insured.
Mhm.
And I
Yep.
always think about my car. If my car is a $20,000 automobile, I don't insure it with $20,000. If my
Right.
house is a $300,000 house, I don't insure it with $300,000. I use a fraction of the
Right.
value of
Yep.
the asset that I'm trying to insure to provide that insurance. When we say we're self-insured, we are using the full value of our portfolio as the insurance policy when we could do it for a fraction of the value.
Right. Pennies on a dollar. And that's what people don't understand. Or they say, oh, I looked into long-term care a long time ago and I didn't like it. It was too expensive and you use it or lose it. This is not like that. Someone in the Smith family, we'll use that example, is going to wind up getting the money. All right. So they'll either have asset benefits from the actual life insurance policy if they can't do two other activities of daily living. And then also there's a death benefit. And then obviously some of them have cash value. And you could use that again for, to help out with maybe your grandkids' college, maybe, a loan to your grandkid when they're going to buy their first house. I don't know.
Yep.
But we need options, especially in retirement, and these baby boomers have to realize and they know this, they have a finite amount of money and we got to make it last. And how do we do that best? It's by doing an income allocation plan, always.
Well, every step in your financial progress takes careful planning, ladies and gentlemen. Having your self, your family protected and benefited, and your wishes executed are steps beyond the planning that most people do, but can have additional value and carry additional complications and requirements. And bottom line is that everybody is going to leave some kind of legacy behind. You want yours to be positive, both financially and emotionally. And that's why planning is so important. Pick up the phone, give Tim Stearns, a certified financial planner, a call for the time and the opportunity to have this discussion, to formulate the plan. If you already have a plan, to review and check up on it, make sure that it is still appropriate and working to achieve your goals, to coordinate your financial, tax, and legal planning, or to start with that book, that resource, Income Allocation. It's an excellent resource describing the methods to address some of today's retirement's biggest concerns and risks. 800-640-2256 is the number to call. 800-640-2256. 800-640-2256. And Tim, time on the program always moves by very quickly, as it does in life, and that's why we always encourage people not to procrastinate and always appreciate your time.
Peter, thanks again for having me.
Always a pleasure speaking with Tim Stearns. He's looking forward to hearing from you and helping you in any way that he can. Pick up the phone and give a call. 800-640-2256. We'll talk to you again soon.
Tune into ChicagoLand Certified Financial Planner Tim Stearns' full radio program on 890 WLS every Sunday at 11 a.m. and visit tjstearns.com for many valuable resources, including other great episodes of ChicagoLand Retirement. Be sure to subscribe.
Securities offered through TJ Stearns, a registered representative of Crown Capital Securities LP, member FINRA SIPC. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for a particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature, not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs.